I was shocked that the change that I was desperately seeking in my life was the change within me. And what made that so shocking is that I could not comprehend that the focus needed to be on Dean King, aka Dean Kent. I had no comprehension that I could be associated with living a life that I was not happy with, I was struggling in. I couldn't handle. I didn't know that somewhere in there I could take control of that and change. And it was because of what my belief system was prior to that, where it was everybody else's contribution that my life was what it was. It was prison officers who locked me up. It was police who charged me with drug-related crimes. It was the courts and the judges that incarcerated me. It was the informants that told the police on me. It was everybody else as the reason why I was living this horrible life of drug addiction and in and out of prison for 12 years. It was everybody else's fault. But once I got broken like a brumby, like being broken in from my past belief system, I could start seeing the part that I had to play in everything. And it wasn't until I fell to my knees in emotion and crying that I started to see a different way. Being broken was the start of change. And it allowed me to see things that I didn't see prior to being emotionally broken. It allowed me to look at my part, look at my behaviours, look at my attitudes, look at my choices, look at my decisions, look at my actions. And the lead up to that breakdown was in a rehabilitation centre where I was being confronted every day on that stuff about my behaviours and attitudes. And it was a therapeutic community where the residents, who were all addicts, were confronting each other about how they were conducting themselves within this community. And the goal within the therapeutic community was that us addicts would see that that's how we were acting in real life, blaming everybody, not taking responsibility, not looking at our own behaviours, not looking at our own decisions and actions and choices. And yeah, so everybody was confronting each other on this stuff. And ultimately the pressure of dealing with that, coming from prison and not looking at that stuff, got me to a point because I couldn't physically react to it, because they would have discharged me and I would have ended up back in prison, and I had enough of jail. I broke down, and it broke me like a horse, and I cried and I couldn't stop crying. But it was in that moment that I seen it all, and it was absolutely shocking to see that I created that life. Sure, I come out of a family and I came out of a past of low self-esteem and struggle and mental illness and drug addiction, and like I went through a process that didn't support me in life to give me much of a chance. But I realised after that breakdown I could get out if I changed me, if I focused on me, if I took accountability for how I was coping, if I took accountability for my choices, my actions, my decisions, if I didn't blame people, if I stopped being a victim, if I kept confronting what I needed to confront and not avoid it through drug taking and other behaviour. So once I got that, as you can hear, that's just a plane landing. Once I got that, it gave me enormous power in my choices and decisions and actions, because I knew that I could shape a new life from that. I knew that I could construct a different self by changing myself. And that gave me enormous power, because I wasn't at the mercy of the old self. I just had to be aware that that old self would keep coming up and to work against it. And what I mean by that is to do things differently that I had done prior to realising that I was responsible for that person. Being responsible for a person that we don't like is a good thing, because it can allow, well, it allowed me to take control of that old person and not let that old person control me. So it was absolutely, unbelievably for me, an awakening beyond measure, that I was, and I had created that life. And when I knew that I could change myself, it was like life was really exciting. Life became optimistic. But there was a lot of stuff that I had to heal from. I had to talk about a lot of pain, a lot of struggle, a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of fears, a lot of worries, a lot of insight, I had to really go deep within my soul. But that's all a part of taking responsibility for oneself. You've got to heal yourself through communication and being honest and being open and transparent, and keep talking about fears and worries and concerns. Well, that's what happened to me. That was in there. and I had to deal with all the past stuff. I had to open up. I had to talk about not liking myself. I had to talk about my worries. I had to talk about my guilt, my shame, my fears. But I healed over a period of time. I healed. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I continue on the same journey and the same path today. Because there's freedom in self-evaluation, and there's freedom in taking responsibility for oneself. I'm not just talking about taking responsibility in one aspect. I'm talking about for everything that I do. For this, for my job, for my parenting, for my friendships, for my addictions, for my choices, for my actions, for my feelings, for my thoughts. There's no out. Yeah, we all go through times of blame, and we all go through times of going into victimhood and stuff. That's okay, but you come out of that. There's no out. There's no back door in life. And if you close, or if you try to close all the back doors, you're just left with you. And that's the best person to be left with. You take care and have a great day and look after yourself.